After 2 years of construction, the city of Tyler is set to finish work on Cambridge Road in South Tyler. That road has undergone extensive work, which left it as a one-lane road in a major residential area. KLTV 7's JD Conte has the update.
If you live near Cambridge Road in South Tyler, you're pretty used to seeing signs like these. For the past 2 years, the city of Tyler has been completing extensive work on a mile stretch of Cambridge Road. The project, which totaled just under $9.5 million, was funded by the city's half-cent sales tax. City of Tyler Capital Improvement Projects Manager Buren Reed says the project brings some much-needed amenities, including sidewalks, a wider road, and better drainage.
A lot of residents saw the need out there for the drainage issues that were going on and just the ability to have a better road, a wider road, and to move and walk up and down that road as well, where they previously didn't have that unless they were walking in ditches.
Input on this project started almost 9 years ago when John Nix was on the Tyler City Council. He lives in the neighborhood and now serves on the half-cent sales tax committee.
Probably about 500 to 600 households that have been driving through a construction zone without an option of not driving through a construction zone for that full almost 3 years.
City officials say there were several factors that negatively impacted the time frame of the project, including weather.
Utility conflictions, old water lines that were previously county water lines that had been put out there years ago that were unlocatable, not findable, as well as other instances of where we had some utility conflicts, along with development. There was still some development that was going on while this road was under construction.
JD Conte, KLTV 7 News.
The city expects two-lane traffic to return to Cambridge Road by the end of the week, but it will take additional time to paint those lanes.